Hi, everybody. This is Lori H. Schwartz from StoryTech, a frequent partner and contributor for NAB Show and NAB Amplify. And I'm so excited to be here because I'm going to actually share with you some of the amazing trends that we just saw at the CES 2024 show in Las Vegas, all on the road to the NAB show, of course. And we have the pleasure of giving these show floor tours, and we help define the experience for a lot of the attendees of these tours by talking about trends. And so I have here my colleague, Boaz Ashkenazy, and Boaz is a CEO of Simply Augmented, and he is just what I think a genius around AI. But Boaz, why don't you talk about what your company is doing?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Boaz, and the company is called Simply Augmented. And Simply Augmented is an AI solution provider for mid-sized companies and small companies that are trying to figure out what their AI strategy is. And so we help them figure out where in their workflows are the best places for AI to be inserted.
Fantastic. And I asked Boaz to join us. He actually wrote a guest article in our trends document, but one of the biggest trends really at CES across all the halls and floors. And if you haven't been to CES, they take over the Las Vegas Convention Center, as well as the Venetian Expo, both floors, as well as the Aria. And so there are so many exhibitors, thousands of exhibitors. I think this year they had 130,000 people attend the floor. But what was unique this year was that there was really a horizontal wave of AI across all the exhibitors and all the experiences that you went to see. And what I mean by that is that as a concept, AI as a concept was talked about and was showcased and was implemented at these various booths. And Boaz, I think you can do a great job of explaining how important this was, because I know just the letters AI together have become so hyped and so intimidating to a lot of folks, and they don't know where to start. And they're like, oh my God, we have to become an AI company. But what was great about seeing all of this on the floor was that you saw particular use cases under this AI umbrella.
Yeah, absolutely. To demystify things a little bit, when you look at your businesses, whether you are a tax business or a healthcare business or a lawyer, there's all sorts of areas in your business that have unstructured data in it. And there's places where that unstructured data lives where there's a lot of manual effort to get that data into a structured way. And what's wonderful about AI and what we didn't have 2 years ago is the ability to do that now with machines. And so, you think about being able to read documents and summarize documents or do voice dictation and have that turn into structured data that lives in a database. All of that can happen now almost automatically with AI. And that's one of the things that's really exciting. And that's why it's horizontal, because it applies to all sorts of businesses.
That's exactly right. And we saw things, like, of course, Gen AI, which certainly has been talked about a lot this year. But we also saw digital twins and other forms of spatial computing and autonomous machines and a variety of different solutions all under this AI umbrella. So it really sort of goes to show you and teach you that you have a business, you have a company, and as content creators, we're all trying to figure out, well, how is this going to impact us? And so what we're going to do is take you through some of the things that we saw at the show and how they're going to be significant for media and entertainment. And so our five trends that we're going to talk about are health intelligence, autonomous intelligence, immersive intelligence, as a service intelligence, and creative intelligence. And again, we're using that intelligence in there because we're really talking about the impact of artificial intelligence on all of these things. So the first trend is health intelligence. And this really has to do with the impact that digital has had on healthcare in this last year. And whether it's mobile health, health IT, wearables that we saw a lot of at the show, the impact that telemedicine has been having, calling in doctors through video solutions, and using all of this data and some of the things that Boz is going to talk about for personalization of medicine. So it really encompasses a lot of things, but we're going to really start to see a world where digital is getting funded by healthcare providers. And how did all of this get impacted by AI?
Well, I think there's two parts of health that are super interesting to me. One is with input coming into the system, and one with input being generated from the system. So if you think about a healthcare visit and the dictation that a doctor does or the writing that a doctor does when they're talking to a patient, now we have the ability for all of that to be ingested into an AI model in a much, much easier way and translated into that model. So that's the one piece. The second one is being able to diagnose based on a bunch of data that lives in the database and do it in a way that can communicate back to a patient in the way that a doctor might communicate back to a patient. And using natural language to do this, I think, is the big breakthrough, both on the input and on the output. And so I think there's a lot of things that we're going to see in healthcare where there's a lot of manual effort to bring content into the system, and that's going to be taken care of by the machine.
And that's a great point on mentioning content, because the thing about all of these solutions, again, is that they will need storytelling surrounding them so that people will actually use them and know what to do with them. I know at any time a new solution comes along, a new medicine, a new illness, anything like that, you need to understand what are the implications of it. And so what we're starting to see is the rise of content studios inside of healthcare systems that are actually generating content, whether it's acting out how to use some of these new technologies or showing how people over time are getting better leveraging a new medicine or a new digital platform. And so storytelling, and we're also seeing this happen inside of hospitals where they have their own intranets, where a production company created these video scenarios so that people would feel comfortable with what's going on. And you can even see on our slide, we have a little robot, this one called Nikobo. Nikobo is actually a robot that is bringing comfort to both kids and senior citizens. It purrs and it does other things. And again, there has to be scenarios and storytelling around what that robot can do. There's also a company called Vivo where you actually just pee on a stick, but it tells you all this in-depth health information, and then it goes to an app. And again, all of this is content, and so it really requires someone who understands how to do this, how to create content. So I think it's a really exciting time for content creators with all of these solutions, and then leveraging what you're talking about with the repurposing of the data. So another trend two, is called autonomous intelligence. And we've all, of course, been hearing so much about autonomous vehicles, about robots, about all these machines taking over, maybe even Arnold Schwarzenegger coming to our house. But the truth is that a lot of this is going to be about automating repetitive and tedious tasks. And so, Boz, tell us about how AI is going to play into that.
Yeah, well, I think when I think about robots in particular, there's some things that are happening now on device, on the robots themselves, where you can embed AI on those robots, where you don't have to go out into the cloud. And why that's important is two things. One, the computer vision part of those robots, the cameras that are on those robots, can react in a much more faster way. And then the other too is the response times. If AI is living on those devices is much faster. And then there's just a ton of repetitive things that we do every day, the monotonous things that we do at work. I think that's the exciting part of AI is what can we get rid of that allows us to be in a much more creative state doing the things that provide more value to the business and also things that we get more energy from individually. And I think AI has the potential for getting rid of a lot of those things.
That is so true. And the reality is that the more that we personalize and create these solutions that ease tasks, the more there'll be opportunities to free up for higher level spending of time.
Absolutely.
And again, this requires content creators to be thinking about what is that personalization? How does it manifest? And how are we going to get these AI tools to reflect that? And on our slide, we see an example of LG's, what they call the zero labor robot. And that's all about having this robot around to help you with mundane housework tasks, right? But
Yeah.
also there's the robots have personalities. So have you played with any of these robots?
I was just.
Do you have any at home?
I don't have any at home, but I was just on a trip to South Korea and they have these robots roaming the malls. And these robots are cleaning the floor at the same time they're answering questions to folks in the malls as well. And it's really, really interesting to see how people react with them in real time.
Yeah, and it really does require someone to think about the storytelling around all of this,
Oh, yeah.
especially if it's location-based content. Because think about it, we're in a automatic vehicle of some kind, and I think one of the sexiest vehicles at the show was the sort of flying cars, right,
Mm.
which got a lot of press last year. But this year there was a really beautiful car that actually had a whole airport set up.
Oh, wow.
And you could, you could see how they were going to like use the people flow with these sort of, flying cars. But the truth is that the powerful thing about autonomous vehicles is that they'll be able to give you information about where you are physically, right? As you
That's
move
right.
through a location, content could be sent to that screen and tell you where you are and what's going on. And for retailers, this is a huge opportunity. And again, that is going to require creating content, creating new messaging, telling stories about products and locations, and video centric content too. Because if you're not operating the vehicle, you could be watching content about the location that you're passing by or coming to. So I think it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, I agree.